Good morning, everybody. All right, I'm just going to jump right in because stuff has started and we're here for the Brian Walsh sentencing. Well, look, he looks really excited. Does he not?
All right, I have two motions up here, one from each of you, and I'll address those in a minute.
In a minute.
You are unmuted.
All right,
So let me start by...
All right, I'll let her start.
Taking a drink of water. Let me start by listing
I need water too.
what the court has reviewed in preparation for this sentencing to make sure that everything you think that I have reviewed, I have in fact received and reviewed. So I've received the parties' sentencing memos. That comprises one sentencing memo submitted, I think, yesterday or the day before, late in the day before, from the Commonwealth. The defense has provided a sentencing memo along with a supplement that I received this morning. I think that was filed yesterday after the close of the business day. I also have received various victim impact statements in writing to include victim impact statement on behalf of the three minor children from the Department of Children and Family Services, DCF. I've also received victim impact statements written from Melissa Kirby and from Peter and Pam Kirby.
Boop, boop.
And I saw various as guideline calculation from probation.
I'm surprised there's a guideline
as well
calculation.
as Mr. Walsh's carry and triple I, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Received and will review prior to deciding my sentence a letter from Diana Walsh. As an initial matter,
because Diana Walsh is out of the country.
is there anything that the parties submitted that I didn't just now list that you expected me or want me to review before sentencing? Comma first.
Your Honor, there will be a victim impact statement given by Anna's sister, Alexandra Dimitrich, and she's prepared to give that to the court.
Okay, but as far as written materials, any other written materials that you are hoping me to review before I impose sentence?
No other written materials, and I just want to note that FTR is not on at this point in time, and I don't know if the court needs that on. I know we have a court reporter.
Good question.
We're in good
There's
hands.
no jury.
Sometimes we've been running both.
All right, I thank you for pointing that out. We do, when we have the court reporter, that is the primary method of memorializing the events, but always good to have a backup, and I see that Madam Clerk has put it on now. For the defense, are there any other written materials that you wish the court to review?
You have everything.
All right, let me just take a moment
And then I'll just tell you
to
it's
review
life
this letter.
without a possibility of parole. I'm going to do it real quick because I saw your face throughout this trial. Man, he looks so casual. I was like, yeah, oh well. I tried. I gave it a good old-fashioned try. What else are you going to do? There's not even that red splotch anymore. I would say so, Crackpot. We were just wondering the same thing. I just put up a comment from Caddy. Did she do? Did it? She did. Sorry. And I don't know. There's no jury there, so I don't know why. Why isn't his street closed here? Man, why is his face not splotchy anymore? Why does he seem so calm and content? He's like, oh. I don't believe so. Iceman asks about the sentence on the other two. She has not sentenced him yet. So that's the only part that's going to be up for dispute. Based on what she said pre-trial, she was going to depend it a lot of whether he gets 10 or 20 on the other charge, on whether the jury found him guilty of a possible life sentence, which they have. I don't think that should.
Okay, we are waiting for the judge who's overseeing some of the impact letters right now, the impact statements that will be read. She's determining if some will or will not be read. But as of right now, she's saying that there will be some impact statements on behalf of the three minors, Brian Walsh's children, as she's been overlooked.
I don't know if we're
of course,
allowed to hear that part. Get some kind of strike. Is this Boston 10? Maybe this isn't even Boston 10.
She just.
What the hell? Is this? Oh, it is Boston 10. Is this normal? Do you guys know? Do other people that watch on Boston 10 play what they're saying?
Reviewing it right now. And
all right, I'm going to switch maybe just so I don't get some kind of weird strike. I don't know. What do we do? What's it called? Court TV. My brain's still not working yet. Just literally rolled out of bed. I was like, I'll get it, babe. Because he's been up coughing all night. My poor, sweet husband. All right. But with this. All right. So she's reviewing. She's reviewing the papers, things that everybody wanted reviewed on paper. I think the only thing that is really up for dispute is the 10 or the 20 on the charge for lying to the police. And what we heard pre-trial was, well, it's 20 if you lie to the police about an offense that was an offense that carried a life sentence. So she wanted to wait till see what the jury said, because if the jury found him not guilty, then she'd give him 10 years. And if the jury found him guilty, then she'd give him the 20, is what it seemed. Now, pre-trial was thinking, well, he probably should have really been sentenced on what he pled to. But then now I remember that I kind of thought better of it, because this is sort of different, because it's all part of a multi-count, indictment. So it does make sense that she would wait. And I think that it is appropriate now that they found him guilty of a life offense, an offense that carries a possible life sentence. And this carries a definite life sentence, that he would get 20 years. So not that it matters, but sure. You want to tack on more time. Plus, if he appeals and somehow, I don't think that I can think of anything that was significant, any errors significant enough to warrant an appeal. But, who's thinking like that right now, to think out every little thing? Plus, we don't know everything that happened pre-trial. Oh, yeah, I do. I do think it was an issue that the jury didn't get to hear that he had pled guilty. But I don't know where that would fall, but to me it seems like an issue. But do you guys find it odd that he's so, look, he doesn't even have any red splotches. Like, he's just so content. I mean, he knows what he did. He knows what he did. He knows he tried to get away with it and he didn't. So I guess that's like acceptance. He's in the acceptance phase of his situation here, maybe. They will be consecutive. I mean, they will be, consecutive. So he'll get a life sentence, plus he'll get the other time, I think. So now, I mean, it is all part of the same offense, except the line to the police part. I think.
Thank you. We'll start with the Commonwealth's presentation of whatever victim impact statements that you wish me to hear orally.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Commonwealth would ask Alexandra Dimitrovic to address the court. Would you like her at the witness stand or from the podium?
In the witness stand.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Is this the sister, guys? Does anyone know? I'm assuming it is. I think they will give him the max. Oh, I thought, you know what? I thought Iceman's comment was, did they give the max? Because it's still too early.
Good morning, Your Honor. Good morning, everyone. My name is Alexandra Dimitrievich, and I'm the sister of Anna Walsh. I am here today to represent myself and my mother. I want to share with the court how losing my sister in January 2023 has forever changed our lives and left us with an unbearable emptiness. Losing my sister Anna so unexpectedly has altered our world in ways we never imagined. Anna was not just my sister. She was someone I grew up with, someone who knew me in ways no one else ever will. I struggle with the grief that comes without warning, hoping every morning that this is all just a terrible dream. The most painful part of this loss is knowing her children must now grow up without their mother's hand to hold. They now face a lifetime of milestones, big and small, where her absence will be deeply and painfully felt. This tragedy has also devastated my mother. She has developed severe depression and chronic exhaustion. Every single day, she carries the weight of losing her daughter. Our entire family is still learning how to live with this emptiness. Holidays and birthdays are now silent reminders of her absence. Because of the circumstances of my sister's death, we were denied the opportunity to say a final goodbye and to observe our customs, adding a layer of profound, unfinished grief to our loss. Anna was a mother, a daughter, a sister, and a friend. Her life was unfairly taken. We miss her beyond words. While we recognize that no sentence can bring her back, we ask the court to consider the permanent, long-lasting impact this loss has had on our family, especially her children. We stand in agreement with the Commonwealth and their recommendations. Finally, I would like to extend our deepest gratitude to the investigators, the Commonwealth's office, and everyone who has worked tirelessly on this case. Your dedication to seeking justice for my sister has provided our family with a sense of support during our darkest hours. Your Honor, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share the full weight of this incomprehensible act. Anna will never be forgotten. We will carry her light and her memory with us forever. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you.
Careful.
Yes. Sorry.
Oh, wow. Oh, look at him. What a fucking piece of shit.
Your
Look
Honor,
at
we
his
have no
stupid
other
face.
victim impact statements other than the ones that we've submitted in writing.
All right, thank you.
Wow. Not a splotch to be seen. Heartless motherfucker. That's what he is. Not a splotch to be seen. I mean, but not even sad. Like you could, can't you be a disgusting animal and still have empathy? I guess he's just a fucking sociopath, straight up.
All right. I have read the Commonwealth sentencing recommendation, the written recommendation, but I'll have you state it on the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Commonwealth is requesting that the defendant be sentenced to a series of consecutive sentences on the charges to run from and after his federal case in which he received a sentence of 37 months in February of 2024. The first charge that the Commonwealth would seek an incarceration component on is count 003, and that the defendant be sentenced to 2.5 to 3 years. The second charge would be that he, on the misleading 002, to run from and after 003, that he receive a sentence of 18 to 20 years. And that the third charge, the murder in the first degree, that the defendant be sentenced to life without the possibility of parole to run from and after 003 and 002.
So they're asking for
And Your Honor,
all
if I may be heard in our argument.
concurrent.
Please.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I mean, consecutive.
When you look at the facts of these three charges, each one calls for a harsh penalty. If you look at the illegal conveyance of a body, the defendant did not just, the person that he illegally conveyed was his wife and the mother of his 3 children. And he did it by removing her remains from the family home and placing them in buckets, in garbage bags, in dumpsters around the Commonwealth. He denied, as you just heard, her family the opportunity to have any customs or burial. There is no grave, there is no memorial. And he did this all in an effort to destroy evidence. On the misleading component, Your Honor, while we do mention the potential of probation, we put that in there only as data so that you understand the efforts that went in to trying to find Anna based on the defendant's series of lies. These lies were all done in an effort to cover up his crime and destroy evidence. We're also, while we put in that, we are not seeking a probation sentence, but we put it in there so that the court, if it wanted to contemplate one, understood there was an option to do it that would prevent the defendant potentially from trying to profit from this.
So the only mechanism for me, I see it anyway, the only mechanism for me under the restrictions of state law,
Yes, Your Honor.
it's an either-or situation. That is, either I incarcerate him for an additional period of time, either concurrent or consecutive,
All right.
or I put him on probation
Stop it.
following the life sentence, or maybe it even starts today. But the only way that restitution can be achieved on count 2 is through a probationary sentence. So I don't think there's any other mechanism for me doing that. So I don't know how you achieve that goal if without a probationary sentence and mandating it as a condition of probation. And so I want the Commonwealth to be clear with me. You're making note of it in passing, but you are not asking me to put him on a probationary sentence. Is that correct?
We are not, Your Honor. It is data that you can use in order to determine the scope of his lies in which the police relied on them. And you can see the costs that went into investigating the disappearance of Anna Walsh, but we are not asking for probation on this matter.
And the same question with regard to the issue of restitution that I heard rumblings of yesterday.
Yes, Your Honor.
Same result?
Same result. It is, again, it's data for you in determining your sentence, but we are not asking for it.
All right, just wanted to be clear on that.
All right,
you,
so
Your
the
Honor.
judge was,
And then on the murder,
just so you know, the judge was asking there, like you say that you want restitution. The only way to get restitution where he's got to pay, money to make the family whole, not that that's possible, obviously, but is if he got this probationary sentence afterwards. So she's just clearing up. They don't actually want either of those things because it sounds like she said you cannot get restitution as part of the sentence if there's not a probationary portion of the sentence. She could have done that if she wanted because he's already going for life. I just don't know, so I don't know. They were just discussing it.
again, this was the murder of his wife and the mother of his 3 children. And the cover-up of this murder, Your Honor, deserves some analysis. If you look at the first internet search, which occurred at approximately 4:52 a.m. on the 1st, how to dispose of a body, and how they evolve into eventually 11:24 a.m., how to dispose of body parts after a murder, it appears the defendant at this point in time is committed to getting rid of evidence of the crime. And it leads to the shopping sprees later on that night at Lowe's and CVS and Stop and Shop. However, if you look at the internet searches on the 2nd, how to dismember a body, and is a hacksaw the best tool to dismember a body? It's a reasonable inference he hasn't started the action yet. And it results in the second shopping spree to Home Depot that afternoon, which means that Anna Walsh has been dead in that basement for over 24 hours. The same home his children are in, the same home the babysitter's at, the same home his mother has come to visit. And in the evening between the 2nd and the 3rd is when the dismemberment occurs. And on the 3rd, we see him going to dumpsters, getting rid of the remains. In the defendant's sentencing memo, and I want to note, the defendant was represented by 2 excellent lawyers who are titans in this industry.
Titans.
Who I have the highest respect for.
Okay.
They say the Commonwealth's recommendation is inhumane. I suggest that that's not the appropriate word choice.
Yeah, right. Me too.
Because if we were to look at that word, I would suggest that that describes the defendant's actions.
Sure shit
And the
does.
depravity of his actions, of murdering his wife, dismembering her, and getting rid of her remains by throwing her away like garbage. The question might become whether or not this is a cruel and unusual punishment that the Commonwealth is recommending. And I direct Your Honor to one case. It's Cepulonis, Cepulonis versus the Commonwealth, 384 Mass 495 at 497. It's a 1981 case. To reach the level of cruel and unusual punishment, the punishment must be so disproportionate to the crime that it shocks the conscience and offends the notion of human dignity. I don't know if that's possible in this case, Your Honor, because human dignity was completely offended by the defendant's actions and how he treated his wife, how he disposed of her, and how he robbed her family and friends of the opportunity to bury her. There is no death certificate. The church will not allow a funeral to go on at this point in time. We are working on trying to work with the ME's office to see if we can get a death certificate to issue now based on the conviction and based on the plea. And when I looked behind me after the closing arguments, I realized that was the closest thing that those people had come to a wake, because they never got together to mourn her. And that happened 3 years later. So with that, Your Honor, the Commonwealth does make a punishment that we recommend to you. We recognize it's harsh, but we think it's appropriate based on the facts. And I appreciate your time, Your Honor. Thank you.
Wait, did he
Thank
say it? Oh, it was life
I'll hear from the defense.
plus consecutive charges. Okay.
With respect to the first-degree murder conviction, although we made it clear from our memorandum that we do object to a life without parole sentence based on state and U.S. constitutional grounds, based on the Eighth Amendment, we understand the court has no discretion. With respect to indictments 2 and 3, you do. I think inhumane is the right word, respectfully.
Why?
To sentence someone to prison posthumously to send a message is humane. It's dehumanizing him. Regardless of what happened in this courtroom, regardless of the convictions, regardless of what anyone believes about this person, he is a human. He is a father, he is a son, and he has been a friend to many. The life sentence is mandatory.
Oh my God.
But to do consecutive sentences, I think is inappropriate and is inhumane. Anytime there is a death, a murder, a loss of life, it is horrible, whether it's a loved one or a stranger. And the legislature has provided, regardless of our disagreement, that a life sentence without parole is mandatory. But that does not negate that he is a human being. And I don't think sentencing him to on and after time is appropriate. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. What he was convicted of were atrocious acts. We've heard from her family, we've heard from her friends. Their pain is unimaginable, and I'm not demeaning that, but I have the opportunity to speak for Brian today. And I'm asking the court to sentence him in line with the guidelines and with the purpose of sentencing. Punishment, justice, prevention of future crimes, consecutive sentences, that's excessive and it doesn't meet those needs. So I'd ask the court to adopt the defendant's sentencing recommendation.
She's giving consecutive. I can't even believe that she really argued that with a lot
I
of
just want to put on the record
gumption.
that
Like she really
the
meant it.
defendant, in making its argument with regard to inhumane aspect of any consecutive sentences,
It's
cited
allowed.
to a case in its brief, Donovan. Donovan does not apply to this case.
There you go. Let's
As an
tell us
initial
why,
matter,
Your Honor.
Donovan related to a larceny involving a single act that resulted in 7 different victims being victimized. The SJC, that was I think, a 1985 case. The appellate courts in Massachusetts have long since distinguished Donovan, even in the case of larcenies, which is not the case that's before me, to recognize that even Donovan relates only to a single act case and not one with one purpose. As you could argue, there was one purpose here, but more than one discrete offense. So I'm not persuaded by the logic of Donovan, even if it applied to this case, and even if it was as broad-reaching as the defense suggests in its sentencing memo, which the court finds it is not.
But even if it were, I'm not falling for it. That's what she's saying. Just in case. let's say he got an appeal on the murder charge, you'd want those other, his appeal was granted or somehow it got a new trial, you'd want those other sentences as high as possible. Let's say you won an appeal and it ended up as, he ended up with some kind of second degree. That's got the possibility of parole. So now you want those other sentences to be consecutive. You know, it's funny. Tipton let her make the argument. He's like, you know what? You make this ridiculous argument that we put together here. You stand up there with all your heart and soul and tell this judge how inhumane
There is no task facing a judge that is more important or more difficult than crafting an appropriate sentence. The legislature mandates that the only appropriate sentence for the jury's verdict, murder in the first degree, is life in prison without the possibility of parole. That sentence is immensely appropriate and just, given your murderous acts and the life trauma that you've inflicted upon your own children.
Mm-hmm.
As to counts 2 and 3, I have wide discretion in sentencing. I want to state my rationale for your sentences on those 2 counts on the record now. I have considered various factors with regard to my sentence for counts 2 and counts 3, to which you pled guilty on November 18th, 2025. Specifically, I've considered the severity of the crimes, their nature and circumstances, and your role in those crimes, the need to deter others from committing comparable crimes, and your prior criminal record, namely your federal fraud case. As to the latter, your criminal history shows a long and well-documented history of deceitful and manipulative behavior. I've considered your character or lack thereof, your behavior, and your background. With regard to the nature and circumstances of the offenses, as to indictment 002, in the approximately 4 hours of interviews spanning 4 days, you concocted a detailed, completely fabricated story of what happened to Anna Walsh on January 1st, 2023, in order to cover up your murder of her and disposal of her body. Your lies triggered a multi-day, extensive missing persons investigation. A command center was set up in Cohasset and was manned by various law enforcement, to include the Cohasset Police Department and the Massachusetts State Police. And local and Massachusetts resources were deployed to Washington, D.C. to investigate at Anna's home. Because of your lies, thousands of hours of investigative resources were wasted and diverted from other deserving cases and investigations. As to the nature and circumstances of count 3, the improper disposal of Anna Walsh's body, the seriousness of your acts cannot be overstated. Your acts in dismembering your wife's body and disposing of her remains in multiple area dumpsters can only be described as barbaric and incomprehensible. You had no regard for the lifelong mental harm that your criminal acts inflicted on your then 2, 4, and 6-year-old sons, not only in taking their mother, but also, as is specific to this charge, in never being able to properly grieve that loss, to say goodbye to their mom. And I hear today the same is equally true of a sister who never was able to say a proper goodbye to her sister, a mother who never was able to say a proper goodbye to her daughter, and many friends who had the same loss. As to indictments 2 and 3, I have considered the sentencing guidelines, the aggravating factors. There are no mitigating factors in this case. And I also sought out and considered information from the Massachusetts Sentencing Commission, again, which I shared with the parties earlier this week, in particular sentencings in 2022 and 2023 of defendants who were convicted of murder and/or voluntary manslaughter, along with a Chapter 268, Section 13B conviction. This is not a guideline case. Finally, as to the first-degree murder conviction, I have considered the loss of the life of an innocent, remarkable woman, Anna Walsh, and its devastating impact on her children, as relayed to me in the letter from DCF, her family, as relayed to me in her sister's victim impact statement today, friends in their victim impact statements, in the community. In the trial testimony of Jem Mutlu and Alyssa Kirby, a little bit of Anna Walsh, her warm, powerful, and embracing spirit
Oh, that judge sounds like
came
she's
to
gonna
life
cry.
in this historic courtroom.
Wow.
I have carefully listened to the moving victim impact statement, to the oral written sentencing arguments made by the Commonwealth and by Mr. Walsh. It's clear to me that Anna was a bright light in the lives of many people. She lifted people up. I am sure that nothing I say and no sentence I can impose, even a life sentence, will lessen the grief that Anna Walsh's family, her mother, sister, and 3 boys, extended like family, confidants, friends, and others have endured and will continue to endure. Although I consider the letter of Diana Walsh, I simply cannot reconcile the person Diana Walsh describes in her letter with the person who stands before me for sentence.
Oh,
Mr. Walsh, you can stand.
Diana Walsh's letter. I'm sorry. I thought it was her mother, Anna's mother.
Mr. Walsh, you will live with the guilt and burden of Anna Walsh's death for the rest of your life. As to count 1, the jury having convicted you of murder in the first degree, I sentence you to life in prison without the possibility of parole. As to indictment 2, lying to the police in
20
connection with
years.
the investigation of a life felony, I sentence you to no less than 19 years, no more than 20 years, the statutory maximum, in prison to be served consecutive to the life sentence in 001.
There you go.
The legislature caps the maximum sentence for the improper disposal of a body at 3 years in state prison. As to indictment 003, the improper disposal of the body of your wife, Anna Walsh, I sentence you to no less than 2 years, 364 days, and no more than 3 years in state prison to run consecutive to the sentences in 001 and 002. I want to make one other notation with regard to the sentences that I'm giving today. Earlier in this case, I identified that there was an error in Mr. Walsh's III. That error persists to today. Specifically, so the record is clear, as I understand Mr. Walsh's prior federal sentence, he was sentenced to 37 months in federal prison. That sentence was to run concurrent with any state sentence that was given in this case. This morning, I asked probation to run his III again, and it is still incorrect. It is showing a 5-year probationary sentence. At my direction, the probation department in the last month, or perhaps a little bit longer,
Wow.
contacted the federal probation office in Boston to correct what I think is an obvious error.
For the past month, she's known damn well what she's given this guy. She's seen through every ounce of it. She's been preparing for the last month to hand down this very sentence. Sorry, guys.
Boston to correct what I think is an obvious error in his triple I. It has not been corrected, and it stands still today as showing 5 years of probation as the sentence. To the extent that confuses anything in my sentencing, I want the record to reflect that, again, it's my understanding he was sentenced to 37 months in federal prison to run concurrent with this sentence that I'm now imposing today. Madam Clerk, you may impose the sentence.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So we'll go back and hear all the stuff she considered, because I blooped us live so we didn't miss anything.
Mr. Walsh, a jury having returned a guilty verdict on charge 1, murder in the first degree, you were sentenced to the state prison for the term of your natural life. Count 2, witness intimidation, you having entered a guilty plea to that, sir, you're sentenced to 19 years, not less than 19, not more than 20 years, to run from and after your life sentence on count 1. On count 3, improper disposal of a body, you're sentenced to not less than 2 years and 364 days and not more than 3 years to run from and after the sentence on count 2. You will receive 1,076 days credit for time deemed served while awaiting the disposition of this matter. All fees and fines in this matter are waived. You're all set, Mr. Walsh. Thank you.
Wow. He's like, thank
counsel.
Wow, guys. Look, it doesn't mean for sure like that the judge was waiting to hand down this sentence, but I mean, pretty much that's what it seems to me. Like she wanted to get that corrected. I mean, yeah, she could have wanted to get it corrected anyway, but like she's been trying to get it corrected for a long time, because I mean, that's what I'm taking it to mean. Let's go back and hear what the judge said she listened to, because she might have mentioned something from Brian Walsh, because I thought she mentioned it right there. Let's see.
I also have received filed. The defense has provided memos received and reviewed. So I've received the parties' sentencing memos. That comprises one sentencing memo submitted, I think, yesterday or the day before, late in the day before, from the Commonwealth. The defense has provided a sentencing memo along with a supplement that I received this morning.
Calling it inhumane.
I think that was filed yesterday after the close of the business day.
Wow.
I also have received various victim impact statements in writing, to include victim impact statement on behalf of the 3 minor children from the Department of Children and Family Services, DCF. I've also received victim impact statements written from Melissa Kirby and from Peter and Pam Kirby. And I sought out and shared with the parties and have reviewed various sentencing commission information, as well as guideline calculation from probation, as well as Mr. Walsh's carry and triple I, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And I've now just received and will review, prior to deciding my sentence, a letter from Diana Walsh.
All right, so that is
As an initial
Brian's
matter.
mom, obviously.
Is there anything that the parties submitted that I didn't just now list that you expected me, or want me to review before sentencing? Kamala first.
Your Honor, there will be a victim impact statement given by Anna's sister, Alexandra Dimitrich, and she's prepared to give that to the court.
Okay, but as far as written materials, any other written materials that you are hoping me to review before I impose sentence?
No other written materials, and I just want to note that FTR is not on at this point in time, and I don't know if the court needs that on. I know we have a court reporter and we're in good hands, but sometimes we've been running both.
All right, I thank you for pointing that out. We do, but always good to have backup materials that you wish the court to review.
You have everything.
So didn't sound like she got any sort of letter or anything from Brian. Wow, guys. I highlighted a couple of questions, but let's start with Boris. If he gets money for interviews, can they take that for restitution or put stipulations on it? It sounds like no, because she didn't enter any sort of restitution aspect of this, and I think that's what she was saying, that she can't enter a restitution aspect of the sentence if there's not a portion of it that's probationable. But that's not something that's like in my wheelhouse, so I could be wrong, and there could be a civil suit, and then the answer would be yeah, they can take anything they get their hands on. And then I answered Little Lion. She asked, sorry, or Little Lion asked, what even is the use of discussing whether non-life sentences are concurrent or consecutive? You never know. Something changes through an appeal and he gets a retrial, gets found guilty of second degree, or there's some post-conviction thing. Anything happens to that sentence, they want to make sure. Now, let's go back to what she said about Diana Walsh. Now, I don't know why my mind was thinking when I first heard it this morning, but for the fact that I literally rolled out of bed and came here with y'all. So I wasn't quite thinking straight. I thought it was Anna's mom for a second. It was Diana Walsh, Brian's mom, Diana Walsh. And the judge said, I cannot reconcile what the person that she describes in her letter with the person before me. Like, she's like, I don't know how any of the things his mom said about him could even be possible in light of the human being, barely can call him that, standing in front of me. Let's listen back to that part of it because it was compelling. Now, I used to be able to, why won't it let me see? Like, what's not coming up when I scan is oh, maybe this is why. Hold on.
Her family, as relayed to me, and her sister's victim impact.
Hold on. I can find it now like this, I think. I'm looking for when she says Diana. Oh. Well, the All right, let me see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. Okay. All right, here we go.
Although I consider the letter of Diana Walsh, I simply cannot.
Wait, sorry. I have it in 1.25. I'm putting it back to 1 because she's very powerful. This judge, she's great. Okay.
Have endured and will continue to endure. Although I consider the letter of Diana Walsh, I simply cannot reconcile the person Diana Walsh describes in her letter with the person who stands before me for sentence. Mr. Walsh, you can stand.
And that's it. That's all she had to say about that. And, I'm taking note of his lawyer's, expressions. Actually, both of them. Here, wait. They seem really sad and devastated. Do they know something we don't know? I mean, it's like, yes, you have to represent people. You have to put on a fair, a good defense. But they seem like using the words that the sentence is inhumane and arguing with such conviction and feeling, as his defense attorney argued, that I mean, like, to even say he is a father, I mean, let's just actually bring that back. Let's just bring that back. He's a human being. Here we go.
Although we made it clear from our memorandum that we do object based on the Eighth Amendment, we understand the court has no discretion. With respect is the right word, respectfully.
All right, sorry.
Do. I think inhumane is the right word, respectfully. To sentence someone to prison posthumously to send a message is humane. It's dehumanizing him. Regardless of what happened in this courtroom, regardless of the convictions, regardless of what anyone believes about this person, he is a human. He is a father, he is a son, and he has been a friend to many.
And she looks back like she's telling someone. But what's she looking back? Like she's telling someone he is a father. He is? You don't get to use that word anymore. You don't get to use that word anymore when you murder and dismember their mother, leaving them nothing and no one. You just don't. Who is she looking back at like that? I mean, unless there was a sound, I find it like super offensive. Like she's looking back at the crowd. I mean, maybe there's a sound. I'm going to just listen again.
Regardless of what happened in this courtroom, regardless of the convictions, regardless of what anyone believes about this person, he is a human. He is a father, he is a son, and he has been a friend to many.
I don't know, guys.
The life sentence is mandatory.
I mean, what? I don't even know if the mom was back there. Like she wrote a letter. Maybe she is back there. So what she was arguing there is like, well, you already have him in until he's dead because it's life, your natural life without the possibility of parole. So you're just adding these other sentences on after he's already dead just because. And that, it happens all the time. And, whatever arguments they made, the judge said, this is not a guidelines case. And she can do that as long as she considers the actual statute, the guidelines, and when they say you can not follow the guidelines, the judge has the discretion to do it. She just has to do it correctly. And she did. She took everything into account. And, there are no mitigating factors here. She found none, and there are none. He's got an extensive criminal history and every other possible mitigating factor, like, oh, this is outside of his character, or, oh, it was in response to something. There are none. So, all right. So everyone's saying the mom is there. So I guess she's looking back at his mother, but no, I just don't, mm-mm. Boris says, I think they believe he is mentally ill, even if not enough for court standards. Can't take caps off. Sorry. No worries. No worries. I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think? It does seem like they both seem really affected by this. And I just don't know what they could know that we don't know, because mentally ill, that one I'm not buying. Just because, look, I know mental illness comes in all forms and fashions, and like you can't look at a person and know, and da 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 da. But nothing about his history, nothing about what he did, nothing about anything about him screams mental illness to me. I wonder if he told them what I don't know. He told them what really happened, because in one breath we're like, it seems like something happened spur of the moment. Seems like just something happened right then and there. But then we're like, well, what about this weird cell phone thing? Why was he hiding the cell phone if he really had the cell phone? And is that premeditation? So I don't know. You're all saying she looked back at the mom. Well, I don't know. It just seemed a little much to me. It seemed a little much. I mean, when you get to the sentencing phase and you know your client's an animal, standing up there and vigorously arguing that he's a human being and a father in light of what he's charged with, I don't know. But there you have it. This is over. Well, maybe one day we'll see if something happens with an appeal, but this case doesn't interest me anymore. Boris also says, or the mother was involved and he wouldn't let that be brought up. Cleaning and the suits. I mean, maybe could be it too. That could be it. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us. And, Brian's never going to get out of prison ever. And which he seems content with. I mean, he seems content with it. We'd watched his face throughout this. It never changed. He even thanked the judge at the end there. So, and let's see if they came out and said anything. We'll check that. Look, watch what he does.
After your life's body, in 3 years, 76 days, all fees and fines in this matter are waived. You're all set, Mr. Walsh. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, counsel.
He's like, thank you. Let's see what's going on outside the courtroom. Should we hang around for whatever? You guys have any interest in the conference here, press conference? See what you're saying. All right, Brian says yeah. Amanda says nah. Some of you say yeah. It's a 50-50 no yeah kind of thing. I think it's probably bullshit, but we'll stay for it. We'll stay for it. This is when they like to pat themselves on their back and say what an amazing job they did. I would be interested to hear what his attorneys say, which is what Brian's saying, but I don't think they're going to talk. No, I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that. Maybe the mom will come out and say something. Maybe she's going to spill some shit when she comes out. Well, they were all standing there like they're about to come out and say something. They were all like just standing up there like, all right, we're waiting for one more person to come. I mean, I don't know. Let's talk about that judge, though. Let's talk about the judge. She was very emotional, and she wasn't having it. She's like, this is, like I said, not a guidelines case, and you disgust me. Here's what you're about to get, Well, I know everybody's loved this judge. No. What would they go back in? They're like, all right, we're waiting for a bigger crowd. I mean, what are they doing? Oh, we got a bunch of nothing. Whether you agree with all the judge's rulings or not, she was meticulous. She researched everything. She thought about her decisions. She remained open-minded, but she saw through his shit from the jump. And nonetheless, she stayed fair throughout. Even if she might have made some wrong decisions, she did it, through research, not just through doing whatever she wanted to do. All right. Well, I don't know what we're waiting for now. They're not coming out. They were standing there. Gina says she was fair and committed to justice. Melissa, member for 8 months. Thanks for your continued support. She says, happy holidays, Allie, Bob, and Dee Dee family. Yeah, my poor husband was up coughing. Did not get a good night's sleep. Did not. So you get me alone. He's much better at carrying the conversation, though. That's for sure. I mean, there haven't been any juror interviews yet that I've seen. Have you guys seen anybody? Has any jurors spoke out since from? Because I'd love to put those on if we had them. It's just crazy because Bob we were already sick, both of us. And he's like, the symptoms are just kind of hanging around, but then he turned around and seems to have gotten like full on sick again, not just lingering, a lingering cough. Like that, he's got a full on congestion hack. So all right. Lieutenant Detective Teletubby received the Defense Diary hoodie. Love it. Glad to hear it. All right. Are they coming? Or is that not even them? No, that's just two guys walking down the stairs. I don't know what's going on. They're like, all right, the whole thing's off. Taking it down. Yeah, the best sentencing day was Sarah Boone. I mean, that was just a sight to be seen. Spitfire asks, could Bob have COVID? We tested him when he first got sick because I was like, this is kind of like, you're really sick, but we didn't test it again. I don't know. Maybe he should do a telephone visit with the doctor. I don't know. Maybe nothing's happening here, guys. I don't know why they would have all gathered by the door there and then like stood at the top of the steps for a minute and then left. This guy seems to be breaking down. What's happening? Let's see. Are we live? Yeah. I mean, he's packing up, right? Look at his face. Like, he's like, what the hell are these guys doing? I don't know. They were standing up there. What the fuck? Good looking man, that guy. He's probably got some, he's going to get some attention now from his debut. All right, well, maybe they did all sneak out the back. But they were gathering up there like they were about to come out. But we're not going to hear from the family. We're not going to hear from the defense side. And all this would have been was them patting themselves on the back. So I'm going to go check on my husband, let you guys go. I'll see. Maybe we should, check for COVID again, call a doctor, see what's going on. Thank you guys for being here with us for this entire trial and now for the sentencing. And we will be getting back to you today on Richard Allen. I am assuming that should be public like any minute now. It's 9:20, you know. So, they've got it. They've got it. They got to just docket that thing. So, but pay attention out there and don't be anywhere else. This is where you've got to be for Richard Allen. All right, guys. See you later. Thank you.